bomb, and then it's easy kill. It's so easy, but then again, it's like you have to have really great aim, or you're able to do that combo perfectly. And again, it's just an easy trick, but sometimes you forget in the moment.
And that's where we get into even more intricacies within the game. So you have different loadouts that you can run. I know popularity-wise, there are some gear utilities that you want to run. Things like 1 or 2 of Quick Super Jump, 1 or 2 of Ink Resistance. And then you have gear specific like Object Shredder or even something like Last Ditch Effort that could really come in handy depending on the mode or depending on your playstyle. And then of course the classics, something like Quick Respawn, Stealth Jump, or for something like the Carbon, maybe they even opt to go with Ninja Squid.
If I don't see Ninja Squid on the Carbon, maybe not that best, but I wouldn't be surprised.
It's going to be interesting to see how they play, and I think that's the case for the entirety of Blush. They have earned that first seed for a reason. Folks like Boopy, Lost, and Haya are all in +3. Splat was formerly on a team called Welcome to Good Burger, and I think these are not relatively new players to the game. Of course, they've grown in their skill enough to be part of +3, but they've also got to get over, not really playing together much as a team up to this point. It says they were formed at the beginning of February of this year, so that gives them a few months, 2 to 3 months of play time together at most. And so that's where you also have that interesting juxtaposition of teams that have been playing together a lot. And there are quite a few established teams that all made it to Low Tide City here in Round Rock. But a team like Blush, where they're coming together as individuals, it's going to lend itself to a different style of play where you're going to need individuals to pop off or really have a leader in terms of your captain, which for Blush is going to be Boopy, and then for Popcast enjoyers is going to be JPEG, to really set the pace of play and call out where you need to be.
Honestly, I cannot wait to see either an upset or an actual sweep from Blush.
Yeah, we are going to have a ton of fun here. We are seeing that Blush versus Popcast is going to be our next game, and then our final one is going to be Cherry Limeade versus Pushmeat. So for those of you who might have missed our first set here with Pushmeat Burger Bottom versus Bai, don't worry, you're going to be able to get a chance to see them once again. But for now, again, if you want to follow along, we are on Smash.gg, so you can look at the pools there. We are in Pool G1 for this match, and then we will move back to Pool G2 to be able to watch our 1 versus 2 matchup, so stay tuned for that. Also, just a quick shout out, if you're not following the stream, please do so to be able to catch all the action today here from Round Rock at the Kalahari Resort and Water Park. Quick aside, what do you think of this Kalahari? Because we've been to multiple other Kalaharis, but this one is the newest of them all so far.
So far, it is absolutely beautiful. It is 10 times more beautiful. For those of you that went to Wisconsin, the Ohio one, imagine that, but times 2 bigger and times 10 million times more beautiful. More modern, more just fresher, better. It is, you come in and you're amazed. You're amazed. The lobby just looks so beautiful like that. And there's no, funny enough, there's no mice.
It's open, it's light, it's airy, and most importantly, no vermin. But we do have our teams getting set up here. I'm super interested to see if we get to our map mode combinations 4 and 5 for round 2. If we get there, we are going to see Clam Blitz on Mako Mart and Splat Zones on Anchovy Games. But we haven't even talked about our third and guaranteed map mode combination, which is going to be Rainmaker on Snapper Canal. And this, for stream anyway, is going to be our first instance of seeing Rainmaker played at Low Tide City. What are the fundamentals and keys to Rainmaker, sort of regardless of the team comp that you bring in?
I feel like no matter what, you have to at least 3 down to make a really decent push and lead. And even then, no matter what, if you are holding the Rainmaker, you just keep going forward. No matter what, if you're just alone and you know you're going to die, just move. Just keep moving. Because if you back up, you're able to give that other team to get a better push or even get a better lead.
That Rainmaker is going to be timed. You have a maximum of 60 seconds in order to push before it explodes. So another good question, I suppose, would be, do you constantly allocate one individual on your team to be the person to pick up that Rainmaker, or is it just going to be sort of whoever gets there first picks it up in sort of that chaos style?
The more smarter way would be allocate somebody, whether it be a light weapon or somebody who has absolutely stacked everything in swim speed, because they're able to just zoom right in. And especially if you decide to like let the E-liter or the heavy take it, they have the heavy weapon, so they're not able to like move as fast compared to a Neo or even a Junior.
You know, if we end up seeing something like a Carbon Roller or a Carbon Roller Deco, if they run Ninja Squid, oftentimes they'll at least offset some of that movement penalty with something like swim speed. So we'll be very interested to see what the loadouts look like both for gear and for weapon comps. It looks like we're getting into it here. Our first map mode combination here in round 2 is going to be Splat Zones Piranha Pit between Blush and Popcast, and let's see what they've brought to the table.
Heavy Deco and E-liter. Very interesting. A lot of different range as expected from Popcast.
So as predicted here, Blush going to be that very aggressive and short-range style. We're going to see the Octo Shot, which I believe is going to have that Inkjet capability, as well as the K-Shot for those missiles, and the Neo Splash to have that devastating suction bomb rush. Both teams yet again opting to go with the Splattershot Junior. That must just be the favor of this tournament for these teams in terms of armor farming.
And as expected, Blush was immediately aggressive and were able to get down almost a full team wipe and able to maintain a lot of turf coverage.
That's going to be a pretty sizable kill there from Dio on the K-52, and they're going to have to use the Booyah Bomb here to maintain pressure and control. They've been stopped at 67, which is a pretty strong start. However, neither team going to lose any members so far. It's only the E-liter that has their special at the ready, and now the Octo Shot, so we're going to see the Inkjet come out. It's going to be coming behind Dio, but Dio able to take them out with the 2-shot on the K-52, and that movement almost able to get them out, but Haya is going to be able to maneuver and block them out. Unfortunately, dying, though, with that suction bomb rush, and that's going to be rough because they really wanted to use that on the zone.
Popcast is getting a little bit far of a lead, but they're probably going to be uncapped right now by Blush. No, incorrect. Let's see if they're able to maintain a great pressure by the E-liter. The E-liter needs to get some higher leverage right here, because just on the zone or in mid, a K-shot or the Neo Splash is able to kill the E-liter pretty easily.
Kaio making the smart play there. They're able to get away from that Jet and pop the Ink Storm, save what they had on that special, and now they're in a pretty advantageous spot. They are blocked a little bit by their ramp, but they're able to see on the right side of it toward the right-hand side zone. Much closer now as it's 67 to 71 in favor of Blush. Blush trying to maintain control here, but it's Dio who's trying to shark forward here. They have the armor, and that's going to allow them to get at least one kill, but they're going to go down, and if not, the missiles would have probably taken them out. Boopy able to get them down as well with the Inkjet almost fully farmed up. That's going to be at least 2 down on Popcast Enjoyers, and that penalty is entirely gone as Boopy opts to be more aggressive here with that Inkjet. They're going to be looking to take out the sharking member here of Popcast, but they retreat to spawn, but not Delta, who goes down just as quickly.
Maybe the long range is too much pressure right now for Popcast, because Blush is able to really, really get in there and maintain their court and their ramp and just able to keep that immense pressure.
Oh, man, both the suction bomb and missiles coming out on JPEG, who's able to get that Booyah Bomb off, and they're going to temporarily take over control. However, it's not going to be for long. Blush is in the single digits here, and if something's not done soon, it's going to be a win here, and it is. Blush able to power through that penalty and take down Game 1 against Popcast Enjoyers.
Beautiful performance by Blush here. Even with a heavy deco and an E-liter, they were able to maintain a lot of pressure and get very, very, very good picks on either E-liter, heavy deco, or even the other K-shot.
You know, we wondered at the beginning if Piranha was maybe too large of a map for a composition that's going to be so heavily favored towards short-range weapons, but Blush played that beautifully. They constantly put pressure on the 2 anchors that were present there on Popcast Enjoyers. Both the Heavy Remix and the E-liter really didn't have much time to set up where they wanted to and get picks and play within their optimal range. They either had to sort of be on that very lowest level where the spot zone was, or they were constantly retreating from things like missiles or Inkjet that were in their way while they were trying to charge up their shots or charge up their splat lane.
It was way too much for the E-liter right there. I think if the heavy deco was actually a 96 or probably a rapid in that best, But even then, it would be too much pressure of like a junior coming up behind you or even a Neo coming up behind you in the 52. Blush has a lot going on right now. And let's see if Popcast can keep up with it.
Yeah, even something like the K-Shot, which is such a popular weapon lately, was not able to take down their short-range comp. You know, I was so interested to see the Inkjet. We were looking forward to sort of spectating what it can do when it has armor in tow, and that really was a fantastic sight. We see there, I believe that's JPEG who's going to be advertising for playing in low ink there. That's one of the feature tournaments that we have here that we will be mentioning throughout the tournament. There are multiple that will be read out by our various commentators, so stay tuned for that. There are tons of tournaments. You don't have to be in person at a LAN, although it is a fantastic atmosphere here. There are lots of tournaments for you to get into that are of all skill levels. So if you are new to the competitive community, please stay tuned to our stream. We'll be shouting out these various tournaments, and we'll be telling you where you can join them either via Discord or via their sign-up links.
Thank you so much, ACC. Very intel.
I aim to please. But we are going to be getting in here shortly to tower control on Inkbot Art Academy. Again, you have those sort of downward sloping lead-ins to the middle of the map, but I have to think even more so than our last map, it's going to favor something that has a lot shorter range. However, we are going to see from Lost that Carbon come out. They're not only going to be running the Ninja Squid, but the Stealth Jump as well. And on the opposite side of things, it is going to be that fresh Squiffer. And Squiffer was something that I was really hoping to see this tournament.
Really great play. Switching over from E-Leader to Squiffer, because that way you're more mobile and you're better off getting better picks as a Squiffer.
Not only that, but we see the mini Splatling, which is going to be another missile spamming weapon. It's going to be Blush getting on the tower first, and they have another popular weapon, one that you quite enjoy, which is that K-Pro, which is also going to be providing that Booyah Bomb. We have some Inkjet action coming in here, as that's going to result in a kill there on this fresh Squiffer. 2-3 now are going to go down as the NZAP's not able to fully farm up that armor, and the mini Splatling is doing what it does best, staying around corners. However, it's not going to be enough as JPEG does go down to Boopy, who's sharking in the middle all this time. Splatic is going to be pushing the tower forward, and they're already past the halfway mark and that checkpoint.
Blush is being great right now and just maintaining immense pressure in court and able to get a lot of different coverage. Right now, the Carbon just go anywhere and get as much picks as it can, or even the K-Pro or the Octoshot.
Oh no, we finally saw an armor there come out. It's not going to be enough now. That's going to be 3 down. It's just going to be the mini Splatling surviving, but it's going to be a quick knockout here on Inkblot Art Academy for Blush, 2-0. And as we predicted, that super aggressive playstyle, too much to come back from on the side of Popcast enjoyers.
Blush here is just doing impeccable work here. They're able to say, hey, we may have the shortest range, but we have the most aggressive players here.
And boy, did they ever. That Octoshot really coming in handy as they sped right past the objective to the opposite side, right up that ramp, farming that Inkjet and getting some early kills on weapons like the Fresh Squiffer, and not just longer range weapons, but the NZAP not really able to get many armors off, and when they did, they were already down a teammate or two, or they went down themselves. So really, if your playstyle is revolving around having that little bit of survivability, if you're pushing it out so late, you're really not going to get the advantage from it, especially when the enemy team is already right in your face.
Popcast right now has to really formulate and synergize together, because it just looks like they were getting picked off one by one and trying to at least get the Carbon or the Squiffer, and they were 2v1 easily.
Yeah, on the opposite side of things, Blush looking so dominant with that Carbon roller. We finally got to see it come out from Lost, and did it do work? A 5KA in that short time frame where the tower basically never retreated back to spawn for the most part, on top of that already aggressive Octoshot. So from Popcast, their last chance here in this best of 5 to try and turn things around. What will they bring out? Could we see more of that double anchor situation here as we move on to Snapper Canal?
Wait and see.
Well, here are the team comms. We are going to see the Carbon Roller Deco and a splatter scope on the opposite side of things coming out from Kaio. So with a map like this, Stingray does tend to be pretty nice. 3 out of the 4 members here of Popcast running Object Shredder as well to try and really break that Rainmaker shield as early as possible. Here comes Delta here. Delta trying to use the Ink Armor to the best of their advantage here. However, they're the last one alive, and the Carbon Roller Deco's looking to eat Splattershot Juniors for breakfast. In the meantime, it's going to be Splat pushing the Rainmaker forward. They're finally going to go down in a last-ditch effort from the Sploosh-O-Matic 7. That's not a weapon that I thought I'd be saying today.
And they're three down already. Can they get it, this Rainmaker? And they're able to get that 3-0.
I didn't think we could see a more immediate dunk than we saw in Game 2, but Blush proving me wrong with that defiant and dominant push there of the Rainmaker. All it takes is a slight uphill push, and it is over. Lost leading the charge with a 4KA on the Carbon Roller, followed up by Boopy on the Octo Shot. This is definitely going to be a team to watch out for later on in this tournament.
They were very, very much synergized. They were like, okay, you have armor. Yes. I have Weave on. Okay. What about you? Oh, I have my Bomb Rush. Okay. Pop the Rainmaker, and we'll go in. And they're able to do that.
So the question remains unanswered for the most part. How do you handle such an aggressive and evidently skilled team, even though they haven't played together? That does not appear to be an obstacle for this Blush team. Sure, they were facing off against the 3rd seed out of 4 in their pool, but I think as they eventually will take on the 2nd seed in G1, which is Assault and Pepper, that team being not only a well-established team, but also a very land-tested team, that is going to be their real challenge. Not just the play style that Assault and Pepper brings, but also just the experience of playing together and being in this setting where you don't have those slight delays and graphical glitches that you might experience in online